If you're working in hospitality and you're trying to get more data from your front line while maintaining a really high quality service, then this video is for you. So we're going to run through a full demonstration of SafetyCulture for a hospitality business. I've got an example business here called the Bravos Hotel. This is a 5-star hotel with a restaurant and bar. They're trying to maintain a really high quality experience for their guests. They're looking as well to remain compliant to all of the standards that they need to stay compliant to, and also be a really lean operating outfit, so getting some efficiencies from SafetyCulture and from the technology. Yeah, so we're going to follow the story of David. David being an example staff member who's going to move through the business. He's going to start as a 4 staff member, so being inducted into his first role in hospitality, doing his day-to-day operations on SafetyCulture. David's then going to get promoted to a team leader role, so he's going to be the manager of the restaurant. He's going to be responsible for compliance, as well as managing issues and information that comes to him from his team below him. Then David's going to be promoted finally to the GM sort of role, and we'll talk about the way then a general manager is going to interact with the system, review the data at a higher level, and just make sure that we're driving standards. So let's get straight into it. Yeah, so step 1 for David, he's a new starter. He needs to do the induction course. So we can do this through SafetyCulture training. This can be a full mobile LMS for your hospitality teams. Works quite well. You can integrate this in with a HR system or a scheduling system so that I need to do training before I start a certain shift. But you can see here we go through the values of the business, what you're expected to do. The approach for micro learning and SafetyCulture training is we constantly are testing. So we provide a bit of content and then we test David here with a multiple choice question set. We can set up some leaderboards and some rewards for this thing so we can see how David performs against the rest of his cohort. But the idea here is that we would build in a full induction course and then all of your role specific training. So, how to clean a room, how to serve wine, how to do X, Y, Z. That can all be done through SafetyCulture and distributed to David via his app. You can see we give David a bunch of badges. He's top of the leaderboard in this example because there's only been 2 people that have done this course. Then once David's been inducted into the business, we're now going to ask him to start doing some operating sort of checks. Part of David's role is that he needs to go and inspect hotel rooms after they've been cleaned by the cleaners and make sure that the suites, which people are paying a lot of money for, is exactly what they're going to expect. So what we'll do is we'll put a QR code on the room, or David's basically going to identify the room he's going to, and he's going to initiate this hotel room check. So you can see he's brought into room 1001. You can see the information that relates to that room, but he's going to start basically an inspection on this room to make sure it's been set up. We can provide David a reference image for what we expect it to look like, and he's actually identified that, no, there's a bunch of issues. David's going to walk around the room, take photos of the issues that he's noted that basically doesn't relate to the reference image. He can annotate on these photos and describe where the issues are. So you can see this is my housemate's room that has a lot of issues with it. I can write on the photos and say, this is what needs to be done. And the idea is that we're going to capture this information and then assign this out to one of the cleaners so that they can go through and fix this up. The rest of this checklist is noting issues as to why there was issues here. David can provide a comment, but all of this information is basically going to be given to the cleaner as well as be distributed throughout the account to say, these are the issues that happened at this room. David's provided us some photos and this is what we need to do to basically rectify it. So I'll just say, the room was not tidied properly, had many issues, please see the photos. We can say that there are no damages, but if there were damages, this might be the start of a maintenance request that we can trigger out. I'll take a photo of the minibar if we need to do an inventory check, just to make sure it's all been set up. So there's my fridge. We can see that that's got everything we need in there. I sign it off and then I can complete it. So once we finish off this room inspection, I can assign out an action, so this corrective action that we need someone to come through and basically do a detailed clean of the room and do a proper changeover of the room. So David puts in all the information. This corrective action then includes all of those photos and that report that David's just worked on. He can put in a due date and a priority. Then basically we assign that out to someone in the team. David's just 4 staff at the moment, so he's not really responsible for doing the clean itself. He's just noting, hey, there's an issue here, we need to resolve this. So that's going to go through, follow the workflow and go through to management. You can see this is the PDF of that room inspection, which is the check that David just did. The other thing that David in his 4 staff role might do is reactive reporting of observations of hazards. So you've very much got the proactive checks that you can do through SafetyCulture. So a room inspection, or maybe a cleanliness inspection of the lobby, maybe a security check. But if there's something that we haven't picked up in those proactive checks, we might need to do raise basically something that's reactive. So this is what the SafetyCulture issues tool is for, that we can be reactive. You can do this with a QR code, or David can just pull out his phone and say, hey, I've noticed a maintenance issue. So we'll say here that the fireplace in the lobby isn't working. David's noticed this as an issue. He's going to flag this as an issue, take some photos of the fireplace, provide all the information. He doesn't actually know what to do here. He just knows it's a problem. It seems that the gas is not working. But David can then basically create this issue, and it's going to go through to management to action. So you can do this for anyone that's basically on site, be it contractors, different levels within your business. Anyone who's part of the service can say, hey, that doesn't look right. I don't know how to fix it, but I just want to observe this so that someone in management can action this. And so you can basically get eyes from all of your workers to be the control quality on the front line. If they see something that's a problem, they can take a photo of it, raise a quick issue. It's meant to be really frictionless, so that then someone in management can go through and say, yep, actually, this is what we need to do to fix this. Cool. So we'll go on to David now, the restaurant manager. So this is a team leader sort of role, or a supervisor. Someone in this role, we'd expect them to be in charge of compliance. So we'll run through a food safety audit that he'll have to do in the kitchen here. He can monitor the sensors that are coming through from your cool rooms and your fridges to maintain food safety. And then importantly though, he'll review the information now that the 4 staff is reporting to him. So those issues and those corrective actions, part of that supervisor role is basically just making sure that all of this data that we're getting from the front line is actually being actioned against. David can come in here. We're on the web app now for David, so he might be sitting in his office or sitting at his desk, and he can see that there are these corrective actions that have been raised. So David's going to go through and see that, yeah, against room 001, there was a bunch of issues that we noted up in our room inspection. The 4 staff have highlighted what these problems are and assigned it out to the cleaner. The cleaner's actually already come through in this action and said, yeah, I fixed this up, provided some images as to what they've done to resolve this issue, and said, basically, this is ready to go. So me as the manager, or David as the manager, can come through and say, okay, cool, I approve this, great work. He'll interact with this action and then mark it off as complete. So that's just a common example of a supervisor. The 4 staff below him is giving all of the information that he needs to action, and then he can make sure that the issues or the actions that we capture from the front line are actually being resolved. Same thing here with the issue that was noted for the fireplace. We can see that the 4 staff have noted an issue with the fireplace in the lobby. I'm going to assign a corrective action out to our maintenance team. So I'll say, you need to come through and have a look at the fireplace. Someone's reporting that it's not working. I'm going to, again, set a priority and a due date for this. We can tag the site because it's in the lobby, so that they know where to go. Basically, then this will create, in the same way that we had the room inspection corrective action, we're going to have a corrective action here that I can monitor for the fixing of this fireplace. At the end of the day or the end of the week, I'm going to want to look through all of those corrective actions that I've got open at my site, identify if we're on the way to solving those actions or chasing people up if we need to. But the idea is that we get a bunch of different data sets from everyone in the business, and then someone in David's position as a supervisor sort of level can then assign out and delegate tasks and make sure that all these little problems that we're noting is actually getting resolved. So I'll close out this issue. We've got that corrective action now that we're going to monitor and make sure that the maintenance team is fixing up. David knows that he's got a couple of new starters this week, so he's just going to quickly check his training matrix. You can see that, yep, the 2 starters have completed the induction course, which is great. Again, you can go through this in more detail. It's a full LMS safety culture training, so you might be looking at the performance scores for the new product that you're releasing or the new menu which is coming out. Maybe there's a new standard that you're introducing about how to clean a hotel room, and you're going to make sure that everyone's done that course. So you can use that training matrix just to control who's actually done the training in the organization. Someone in David's role then would also be responsible for doing audit and compliance type of assessments. So here we've got a haccp food safety audit that we'll just go through. You can see here that so we've got a compliant, non-compliant major, non-compliant minor. I can embed in here instructions for David, so the audit standards that we expect. So basically instructions for your auditor, and he can go through and basically mark something as compliant or non-compliant. If there are any issues, so here we've got that food is in the fridge that hasn't been covered. I can take photos of that, again, in the same way, but this is going to paint a broader story. When we zoom back, or when we look back, in a month's time, we can see all of our food safety audits that we've done. What are the consistent issues that are popping up? Maybe we want to introduce a new process to control those. Again, I can review audit standards as an auditor and say, yep, this is what I need to be checking. So you can see here we've got a question around refrigerator and freezer monitoring. So we can actually do that monitoring in SafetyCulture. There's a full sensors solution in SafetyCulture. So I can connect SafetyCulture sensors to all of my fridges and cool rooms and make sure I'm maintaining food safety. And this maintains all of our records for this. So I'll just go through an example where I've got a sensor in a fridge. The fridge was actually down for a day, hence that spike there. So I'm comfortable with that. But we can create alerts from these sensors that basically say, if something goes outside of a healthy range, we need to alert XYZ manager to go and check the fridge. And then as well as those alerts, this gives us our full record for food safety, so that when we go and do an audit, we can see, yep, our fridges and our cool rooms stayed inside a healthy range for the duration of the period. So it ensures food safety from a compliance standpoint, but also gives us the alerts and the warning system on the day if something goes out of range. And you can do this via text message, push notification, and email. Cool, so we're just continuing on with our food safety audit. You can see that we will just go down and mark anything off that's non-compliant. We'll do another example around a major non-conformance. We've got some food, some raw meat, which is basically being left uncovered. But great, so we'll save that audit report. You can see that we can generate a PDF straight away. If this needs to be sent on to an auditor or saved in a certain filing cabinet, we can do that straight away. You do this with integrations as well, but you can see how we can just quickly send an email from here. But that's basically an example of the many compliance checks that someone in David's role would need to do. The idea is that we'd schedule out all of those compliance checks to the supervisors. So you might have this in front of house, back of house, food and bev, security. Everyone needs to be doing their audits on a daily or a weekly, whatever cadence you set. And then, we zoom back and we look at 6 months' time. What are the common issues that are occurring? Maybe that will guide us as to what processes we need to change. Great, but we'll go through the final role for David. So that's when David is the general manager of the whole site. So as a GM, you'd just be sitting back and reviewing the data and making more executive decisions based on the data that's actually coming through. You might also design some of the training that you want to push out. You might be seeing that, hey, there's consistent issues in a certain area, so we want to look at the training or the information that we're giving to the staff. I'll also touch on a critical comms tool that you can use in this sort of role to send out messages to large cohorts of people and make sure that they've received this information. So you'll see here, this is an example dashboard I've set up in the SafetyCulture dashboard, which might be something that you'd look at for the hotel. You can see I'm looking at the issues that have been reported. So I can see that in the lobby, there have been several hazards that have been reported, but I can basically break this down by the categories of things that have been reported by what area. I can see as well, we've got many corrective actions being raised in room 001. So maybe I want to do a deep dive into what those actions are. They're the same issues that are occurring is it the same personnel that this is relating to? You can see here I've got a dashboard set up for our haccp food safety audits. We're expecting 15 of these a month to be done across the site. So you can see that red dotted line is basically a KPI that I've set up. You can see that earlier in the year, maybe when we weren't using SafetyCulture, we weren't up to that KPI, but in the last few months, we have maintained the space. And then the same for that cleanliness. I've set a KPI of we want to maintain a 90% score in our cleanliness inspections. Maybe it's at the hotel room checks or in the lobbies, whatever the example is. You can see that we get green feedback for anything that's above the KPI and red for the below. So this is just a way that all of the data and all of the checks that we're doing from the front line, that we can actually aggregate it, have the data paint a story, and then someone in this GM sort of role might actually want to take some action, change some processes, inspect this information further. But this is essentially the way that we can zoom out and look at the data. Let's say that though we have identified a bunch of cleaning issues, and I want to put out an alert to the staff to say that we've picked this up and that we need to put more of a focus on this. So we can use the tool called Heads Up for this. This is a one-to-many communication tool. It allows someone to record a video message or send a document or just send general text. Require that the staff that are receiving it acknowledge it. They can communicate and interact with it if you want with some comments. But it basically allows us to ensure that critical comms are being received and gives us the data back. I'll just let this play out so you can see the alert that David sent out. Yeah, hi guys. Just here to report some troubling trends that we're seeing at the moment with the cleanliness reports. We've had a real drop off in the last month of the general cleanliness across the facility, particularly in some of the hotel rooms. Goes without saying that this brand is built around excellence and having a high quality product, and these cleanliness issues really undermines that for our customers. So we're going to be pushing out some training to everyone, which is going to be mandatory just around what we expect around cleaning, and just wanted to call out that it's going to become more of a focus in the next few weeks as we try and get our cleanliness scores back up to where they need to be. Thanks guys. In line with this heads up message, maybe you'd introduce a new cleaning expectations training course, which you could make mandatory. Could be a good way to ensure that the team understands, what we expect from a clean. Yeah, great. So that's a full run through of SafetyCulture for a hospitality business. You can see the way that different roles would use SafetyCulture differently. But really the core of the platform is the connection of the frontline workers to leaders and to the rest of the organization. If we do that connection between the front line and management correctly, then we should give managers enough information to be able to make decisions which can raise standards. We should be able to train up the front line and give them the information they need so that they can execute on a higher quality product. And if you've got the information moving through the platform in the right way, it should help to drive efficiency by the speed at which we can identify problems and then close them out. As always, reach out to us here at Bravus if you're keen to chat about setting this up at your business. We can run through the way that we've done this successfully in the past with other hospitality businesses. If you want to just sign up to SafetyCulture on your own, I'll put my referral code in the comment section of the video just so you can go through and basically sign up via the website. Until next time, this has been Darcy at Bravus. Thanks a lot.